Hi everybody, and welcome to our video today. I'm Debbie Reynolds with Rocky Mountain Lodge, and today I've got one of my granddaughters, Annabelle, we call her Annie, with us today, and we're going to make homemade sourdough rolls for you. Tomorrow is Easter, and we are so excited. I make these for every holiday that we have. It makes a ton of sourdough rolls, but you can always cut it in half if you need less. And I'll show you about doing both of those today. This recipe you can find in my cookbook, Rocky Mountain Lodge and Cabin's More Favorite Recipes. It's also on our website at rockymountainlodge.com, and click on the recipes tab. And you can purchase our cookbook on our website as well. Just click on the gift shop tab, and we're currently running a half off special, so you can get that cookbook for $10. And so we're just going to get right into this video because there's several steps to making these rolls. Today we've prepped 4 batches of sourdough rolls for you guys today. So we will be eating sourdough rolls a lot today and tomorrow for Easter. And I'll even show you a make-ahead tip that you can do to make them the day ahead of time and bake them the next day, which is what I'm going to be doing with the batch that I'm going to make right now. So I have various stages ready for you, and I'll show them to you along the way. So the first thing we're going to do for our first step is we're going to need 1 package of yeast, active dry yeast or instant yeast, either one, and a 1/4 cup of warm milk, and just about a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, which you're going to add to a little bowl, and you're going to let it set and dissolve for about 5 minutes, which you can see I have already done in just trying to save time. So we've already done that. So we've dissolved this, and then usually just set that aside. And now in a large bowl, we're going to add 2 cups of warm milk, which we have already warmed up, and we need it warm so that way your yeast is warm. All right, so go ahead and put that in there, Annie. Thank you. And we're going to need a total of 6 cups of flour divided. So we're going to do 3 cups at a time. So our first 3 cups, we're going to go ahead and add in here. You want to do that, Annie?
Sure.
And let me give you our dough whisk. All right, I have this handy dandy dough whisk, which once dough gets kind of stiff, this dough whisk works great. So right now we just have 2 cups of warm milk and 3 cups of flour. And right now I'm making a full batch of sourdough rolls so you can see what they're like. I have several other half batches that we've made along the way, so as we do the different steps in the process, you'll see what half batches are like. Because like I said, it makes a lot of rolls. Okay, once she gets all of that mixed together, we are going to add our yeast mixture. So you want to go ahead and add the yeast mixture to that, Annie? And here's a spatula. And then we're going to have 1 cup of my sweet sourdough starter. And so I have 2 different sourdough starter recipes on my website. I have this sweet sourdough starter, and then I also have a regular sourdough starter, my traditional one, which is what I use to make regular sourdough bread. But this sweet one I'll use to make, here you can add this to there too. I will use this sweet one to make these sourdough rolls. I'll make banana breads out of it, any other kind of fruit breads. I'll make chocolate cakes out of it. There's so many different things, pancakes, waffles, all kinds of stuff that you can do with this starter. And I keep both of my starters in jars like this. This is my sweet starter, and then I have my traditional starter right here. So I keep them both going. This one's about ready to use. I fed it earlier. And this one, I've used up what I need for today, and I'll keep that going for the next couple days. All right, so go ahead and get these all mixed up. I'll take these out of the way. I'll be your sous chef.
Thank you.
Which is basically a fancy word for assistant chef, I think. Your assistant.
You think?
All right. So this dough is going to be pretty wet and sticky, and this is just part 1 of the recipe. So once she gets that all mixed, that looks pretty good. We're going to take our dough whisk and set this aside for right now. And now I'm going to take this and put this over on my stove. I've got some other ones going here that you can see. I'm going to bring this one over. You want to bring that over? Then I'm going to bring this dough here And I'm going to put it underneath the light from my microwave so it kind of keeps it warm. And we're going to let this rise for about 45 minutes. And when it's done rising after 45 minutes, it will look like this. Now this is a half batch. So that one will be twice as big as this one. So this is a half batch of dough that we have right here. So now to this, we are going to add to this one, this is my half batch. Now I have to be careful because I have to separate. These are my whole batch ingredients, and now I have half batch ingredients over here. So what we're going to do for this is to this we're going to add 1 egg, but for a whole batch you're going to do 2 eggs. So she's going to go ahead and crack that. And here's a trash can to put that in. Okay. So a whole egg, and then a half a stick or a 1/4 cup. This is half batch of butter. For a whole batch, we're going to need a whole stick or half a cup of butter. And then we're going to need a 1/4 cup of sugar for a half batch. A whole batch is a half cup of sugar. And then for a half batch, we have a half teaspoon of salt there. And then we have a whole teaspoon of salt here for our whole batch. So I'm going to set these ingredients aside for when the one that we just made is risen. So in about 45 minutes, we'll do these. But I don't want to make you hang on here for 45 minutes and just listen to me chitter chatter for 45 minutes. So we're just going to do another one. No, we're not. It's already broken in there. So now what Annie's going to do here is she is going to mix these ingredients right here. Might get a little loud for just a minute. So we're just going to mix these until they're just blended. Then once they get blended, we're going to add them to this dough along with the remaining flour that we have. This is 1.5 cups for a half batch. And then here we have 3 cups, the remaining 3 cups for our whole batch. So these are ones we'll be using later on for those. Which, when those are all done, I'll show you about the different steps. We're going to put them in the fridge and I'll bake them off tomorrow. Okay, now this won't be 100% mixed, but you want to try to get it mixed as best you can. Let's see. Let me see how we're doing here. Let's just try to turn it up a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to get a spatula and she's going to add this to that dough right there. Let me get this out of here. Here is a spatula. And she's going to add that to that dough. This is kind of a small bowl for this, but I was running out of bowls. Making 4 batches of this today. I'm using up all my bowls. Okay. So she's just scraping all of that in there. Okay, so now she's going to mix that. Here. Set this here. It is kind of hard. Do you want to put it in the... Well, no, we're going to need this later. Do you want me to do that part?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to get this in. That's why this dough whisk is really nice to use for this. You know what? I just did the wrong one. This was our dough that was ready to make rolls out of. Well, I grabbed the wrong bowl from the stove. So that's why she's having a hard time. Though, what we just did, okay, well, I think I just blew the whole roll demonstration today. We were supposed to add that to this. That look familiar? Yeah. Like what we did earlier today? Okay, so I'm just going to have to show you what we would normally do since I just blew this one. All the stuff that I just put in here is actually supposed to go in here. I've done too many of these batches today. So we would actually put that dough in this. So we'll work on that a little bit later. Okay. That's why it was hard. These were the doughs that were ready to make into rolls. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you what we would normally do with these, okay? Even though Sorry. Our bad. My bad. So what I normally would do, okay, you would not do that, but this is going to end up having to be a toss. Okay, so but what I would normally do with the dough that was here before, all ready to roll, we would take a piece about the size of an egg and we would put it into, we would roll it up. This is not really going to work. So where's our, okay, this is not going to work today. Oh, okay, you know, I've never done this mistake before. And I think I said that the last couple of videos I've done. But normally, yeah, I just have too many going. 4 at one time is too many. What's that?
Why don't you add that yeast to there and add the flour to all the dough? Because
Well,
full batch.
because it's going to be the wrong amounts. Okay, so we would normally make these into balls like this, but they would not be sticky like this. And then we would put them all in a pan. And that's what we would normally do with the dough that was already. Okay, sorry guys. Too many going at once. But if you're only doing one, you should not make this mistake because you won't have multiple ones sitting on the stove like that. All right, so let me wash my hands.
Somebody take this out.
Yeah, you can take that out. So, all right. But let me tell you what I would normally do then. So that other egg mixture that we did, we would have added that to here, and it would not be so tough. It would still be nice and light. And then we would add the flour to this, which we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this after I'm done with the video. Because I have to go ahead and I have to get more eggs. And I guess we could just do it.
Yeah.
We could just
Do
do
you
it.
want me to get one egg?
Yep, this fridge here, there's 1 egg in there. So we're just going to get those ingredients again, and she's going to whip them up. I just have to get some softened butter. Okay, so Annie, why don't you go ahead and put an egg in there.
Let's not make this mistake again.
I had them all ready to show you how we make into rolls, and then I grabbed the wrong one. Okay.
Too bad, so sad.
Let me melt this butter. Actually, we're not melting the butter, we're just softening it. Okay, we're going to soften that butter, and then we need 1/2 cup of sugar in there. Actually, this is a 1/2 batch, so 1/4 cup of sugar.
Don't want to make a mistake.
Not that one. That's 1/3 of a cup. Okay, here's a 1/2 cup.
She's done too many
Or
today.
1/4 cup, I did. This is the 4th batch today. I've done a little too many, and I was all ready. Okay, and then we're going to need our beaters again.
Beater.
You want to get those beaters and put them in here?
Yeah.
They're in the sink.
All right.
Okay. I just also want to show you what this would be like when it's correct. You're just not going to get this portion where we make them into rolls where the dough is just right. But we did just lose. So instead of 4 batches today, we have 3.5 batches. And salt. 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Whoops.
That's okay. You keep going. I'll just sprinkle it
Okay,
in.
just a second. Let me get this off the edge.
Okay, there we go. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. While she is doing that, I'll tell you what the rest of it we did. So normally we would take that dough, we made it into balls, we put all those balls in our pan, then we take it back and we put another towel over it and we let it rise for about another 45 minutes to an hour until they're doubled in size. And then we're going to bake them for about 30 minutes until they're golden brown. And I've got some that are done and I'm going to pull out and show you in a minute. Alright, is that looking good? Is it getting mixed up?
Some butter, so.
Let's get that butter melted. Mixed in. Round 2. Yep, grabbed the wrong bowl. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I say if my head wasn't attached, it would fall off. So, this is the correct bowl that we were going to Oh no, this is the one that just rose, right? Did this one just rise?
Yes.
This is the one that came off of there.
Yes, Nate.
Okay. Yeah, I need help. I definitely need assistance.
And that's why you have me.
Yes. That's why I have Alyssa, my other granddaughter that you saw last week helping me. What did we make last week, Alyssa?
Pie.
No. Cheesecake.
Right?
Cheesecake. Yes, that's all gone. Okay, so we're going to add that in, and we're going to add the remaining flour. 1.5 cups for a half batch, 3 cups for a full batch. Now it's not so hard to stir, is it?
No.
Now this is how it's supposed to be.
Just right. Whoa.
Now when she gets done with this, we'll cover this up. And, well no, before we cover it up, I want to show you how to get this dough. Can you scooch over a little? Okay, so you keep working on that. I know this bowl is a little small too. Okay, so she's going to get that mixed. This is a half batch. So what I'm going to do here is I always grab, like, I put some flour in a bowl so that I can stick my hands in it and use it, because this is going to be a really wet, sticky dough. So once she gets this all mixed up,
So much flour. It's a small bowl.
I know. I had that bigger bowl before, and then we're going to use this bowl here next. So I have, once we get done working with this, I have a glass pan here, or bowl. And the reason why we spray it is because we're going to put that in here, and then we're going to flip it so that way the bottom side is oiled. Okay, how are we doing there? Do you need hands? Okay. You can go wash your hands. So then we're going to just kind of finish incorporating this flour into this dough. Half batch here, so a full batch is going to be twice as much as this. And this is going to make, how many rolls did we get out of the other one, Annie?
A full pan.
A full sheet pan, yeah. So I'll show you how many we get with the half batch. But you get quite a bit. I think I get about 24 with this one.
It was like 7 times 4, like 28 or something.
So like 28, something like that. Okay, so now this is going to be a really sticky, wet dough.
Yeah.
And so where is my spatula? There.
No.
Okay, so we're just going to take this really wet dough.
And knead it.
And we are going, yep, that's right. And Annie kneaded one of the previous batches, probably the one that we're going to have to throw away now.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
That is kind of sad. So instead of like 100 rolls tomorrow, you guys might only get about, I don't know, 78, 80.
Oh no, like that's a disaster.
Okay, so we're going to put a lot of flour on here because it's a really sticky wet dough. So we're just going to knead this in. Do you want to knead?
Sure.
Okay, so it's really sticky, so make sure you flour your hands and flour the heels of your hands.
Right.
So that way you can pick it up and knead it. And we're just going to knead it for a few minutes until it's a nice soft dough. And we can bring it into a ball. So we're just kneading it enough to bring it into a ball, and it's nice and soft.
Probably roll my sleeve
Let me know if you need a hand.
before I get
And if you have to add more flour to your board, just add a little more flour so it doesn't stick. Okay. Yep, Annie has learned how to knead. I'll hold the board for you.
scooching the board away.
Yeah,
while I'm
it's
scooching
looking
the
like
bread.
it's coming in pretty good, so we're just going to knead it for a few minutes. Let's see. Yeah, just a little bit more so your hands don't stick to it.
You want all the bread you want. You can get.
So, but it's a nice, soft, tender dough. This one is, not the other one.
Yeah, the other one was a failure.
That was an oops. We don't call them failures. We just call them oopses. Okay.
My bad.
All right. Let me finish that up. And then I'll show you what we're going to do here. So you can wash your hands. And so we're just going to bring it up and press it down with the heel of your hands. So bring it up with your fingers and press it down with the heels of your hands. Okay? And so we're going to do this until we've got a nice ball here. And so then we're going to take the top of it and throw it down. And then we're going to flip it over. So now the oiled side is on the top. And then we're going to bring this back over here. And this is going to rise for about an hour until it is doubled in size, when it looked like the other one that we pulled out. So now we have a big one that we're going to do for later. You can see it's already starting to bubble up a little bit. So that one sits there for, I think we said 45 minutes. So now I'm going to wash my hands. and show you the finished product. So what we're going to do now,
Want me to pull them out of the oven?
yeah, there should be some pot holders over there. You can bring them. So now what you would do is after you get them into your pan and in rolls, you're going to cover them up and put them on the stove and let them rise for about an hour. Or as soon as you get them into dough balls, you can...
And here's the finished product.
Yes. So after you get them into dough balls, this is a half batch. So you can see how many you would get with the whole batch.
That's hot.
Yeah, that's hot. And
Don't
so
touch it.
you can cover this up and put them in the refrigerator as soon as you form them into dough, into the balls, and then just take them out a couple of hours before you want to bake them so that they can start to rise. I actually usually try to pull them out about 4 hours ahead of time and just let them sit on my stove under the light until they come to room temperature and then start to rise and get warm. And then you can bake them for about 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. And then when they come out of the oven, you can brush them with some melted butter. Our butter's not quite melted anymore, but go ahead and brush them. We had a boo-boo.
We missed that. We took the...
Why don't you brush those?
Brush those. Do the work.
So now we're going to brush them with some butter. And then they'll be ready to eat. And they're delicious.
But you might want them to cool off first, because they're pretty hot.
And these are actually really good. Once they're cooled off, you can cut them in half, and you can make little sliders out of them. They'll make great slider rolls. Homemade sliders. Yep. And so here are homemade sourdough rolls, minus a boo-boo for one step. But you get to see what they're like. They're delicious. And so I'm going to actually open one up here so you can see what they're like. I'm going to pull one out. I'm going to try to get, I don't want an edge per se. They are really hot. It is good to let them cool just a little bit, just enough so that you can grab them. But they come out nice and soft and fluffy and very pillowy. And there are sourdough rolls. And you should see my photographer, Alyssa. She is like ready to devour one of these.
Yep.
So these are homemade sourdough rolls. Try not to do 4 batches at once because you might forget where you're at in the process. So homemade sourdough rolls, and I hope you all enjoy. And don't forget to like this video, share this video. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rocky Mountain Lodge and Cabins. I'll share this video on there later as well. And check out our website, RockyMountainLodge.com, where you can find this recipe. And it's also in the cookbook, and you can purchase it there. And come back next week, because next Wednesday, which is April 7th, we will be making an overnight breakfast dish. We're going to be making blueberry strata. It is fantastic with homemade blueberry syrup. So come back next Wednesday at 2:00 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll make a breakfast dish. All right. See you all next week. Bye everybody.